today. I'm going to be talking about what dowsing is and how it pertains to my SuperConnection work that I do. Um, I guess it's Super Tuesday. I think I got the term right. In Massachusetts, so it's voting day, it's primary day. So that's exciting. And also super exciting. I went outside this morning at 8:30 and it was already 50, 55 degrees. So it's going to be a little over 60 degrees here, which is awesome. I'm going to go for a walk in a little bit. This topic has been on my mind to share with you. And oh my gosh, my sweet friend Valentina. Hi, sweetheart. You're going to make me cry. I studied super connection with Valentina hi Vicky, in England. And she's Italian and she works in Italy and I think Brussels. So, all right, you guys are going to make me cry. I already cried this morning. It's one of those days. It's all good. It's all healing. Morning, 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 beautiful ladies. Okay, so I'm hoping I can get through this. I love you both, by the way. I'm happy to take questions. So people are watching live, and both of these ladies have experienced the work, and Valentina is a super connection practitioner. She, I believe, practices all the levels that are available out there. So, ciao Bella. Um, this happens when people pop on, which is awesome, but today's one of those days, so you guys will have to bear with me. Um, and whatever I am, yeah, I know, whatever I'm going through and clearing, there's stuff going on in my throat. I know I'm also clearing for other people. So, as I said, Valentina is certified in all the levels that have been offered through Super Connection. And I studied level 2 with her, and she's a sweetheart. And I've worked with Vicky. We've been collaborating with this work. So, yep, all the levels. And Vicky and I've been doing sessions with people with her beautiful work of bringing in spirit and channeling and whatever healing needs to happen. And then I'm working with the charts and dowsing to help clear. So the topic that I want to focus on today is dowsing and what it is, how it fits into super connection, how I actually came to learn how to dowse, and my history with it, which in the beginning I wasn't trusting the pendulum, and I learned how to do that. So let me I'm gonna just read. I'm gonna grab my notes because I don't often explain things really well. I'm often in my heart, and I think people that need words have a tough time understanding me. So I'm gonna maybe take a minute or two and read what dowsing is from the manual that we got during our training. It will explain things for people that have never heard about it. Excuse me. So I'll try to be fast. The ancient art of dowsing is a divining technique that has been used for thousands of years to detect underground water, buried metals, and other objects that are not visible to the human eye. This kind of dowsing uses forked sticks or rods that produce movement as a result of the link between the human energy field and the object the dowser is holding in mind. So they have a tool and then they're holding an object in mind that they want to use, they're dowsing for. And you've probably all heard of people using the dowsing sticks to douse for water. This technique is still being used today by some surveyors to find oil or to ensure that a building can be erected without issue in a particular place, and its effectiveness has been verified by the New Scientist magazine. So in superconnection, which is the modality I'm talking about today, we use a pendulum to dowse on special charts. A pendulum has no magical qualities, and this is important. It's just a weighted object of some kind suspended on a cord or chain. I'll show you the one that I've been using. On asking a defined question, the pendulum moves. This movement is attributed to the idea meter response, a term first introduced in 1852 by William Benjamin Carpenter, who was an English uh, psychologist and physiologist, I believe. I'm saying that right. I'll have to look at that again. The response produces minute muscle movements caused by subconscious mental activity, now known to be part of our biofeedback mechanism. Therefore, everyone has an inbuilt ability to dowse. Just a little bit more. Thank you guys for being patient. When you are linked in correctly to your superconscious mind or higher self, the ideometer response, or let's say biofeedback, effectively bypasses your conscious mind, this is the important part, and allows you to seek answers that are deeply held within your subconscious. Whenever an answer is received from your subconscious, it rises to the conscious level. Something that was hidden, subconscious or unconscious, has now become consciously known, conscious. It is a tried and tested method of connection, easy to learn, with signals that are clearly visible. Your pendulum is the tool that amplifies the signal you receive from your innate wisdom, higher self. Just like any other skill, the more you practice, the better you will get at it. So just real quick, one thing I want to say about connecting to source and higher self. So anyone can learn this. Anyone can learn to use a pendulum. So people that have had intuitive readings or psychic readings, or even like tarot or angel card readings, those people that are trained in that have spent time connecting to source, God, whatever you want to call it, their higher self. So they're using maybe the cards or the tarot or crystals. People do crystal readings. So they're using those as a tool to get information. There are other people that don't use any tools at all. So they're just hooking into source and spirit um, directly without other tools. Neither one is good or bad. They're both beautiful and amazing. So what I just want to share about that is the pendulum, when you talk to a dowser, is this is my way to hook into source. So sometimes, absolutely, when I'm working with people, I will hear information. I'll hear a voice that says, say this, or this is going on, something that might not be in the charts for people. So I have a little of my psychic abilities there. And when they need to come through, they absolutely do. So, people, I just want to share that because there are tons of people that have experienced a psychic reading, even just once in their life. So, how does it work? Those people have been trained to tune into spirit, listen to your guides, their guides, all of that good stuff. So, this pendulum allows me to hook into source, to hook into what's going on with you. And I say hook in, I'm just like tuning in and then getting information. So this is the one that I love using. It's actually a necklace. So as I said, it's a weighted object on a chain. And all I have to say is show me a yes, and it's going to start to move up and down, like vertically for me. And then I say show me a no, and then it's going side to side. That's my signal. So this is what I'm holding over the charts as I'm working to get information for where people are blocked and and then how to unblock them. So I won't talk too much about SuperConnection right now. I'm going to talk a little bit more about dowsing. And so people can use all sorts of things, are actually dowsing tools. I times, I know this may sound strange, when I don't have something and and I'm asking a question, I'll grab my keychain. So I'll grab like a part of my keychain and just say, show me a yes, show me a no. That works. So it's anything that's on a chain pretty much. Let's see, what else do I want to share? So years ago, I'm going to say maybe 20 years ago or so, um, I've been doing this spiritual work for 20 years, started in 2000. So as I was learning different things, I've got a couple of pendulums. There are different people using them, and I would, grab my pendulum, ask a yes or no. I kind of laugh at myself because I was a total novice in the sense that I was asking kind of silly questions, and I'm not judging anyone if you're asking these questions at all. I'm just looking back going, uh-huh. So what was I asking? Am I going to get this job? Does so and so like me? Will so and so ask me out? Stuff like that, right? You're going to get a yes or a no. And that's fine to ask, but as I learned more about pendulum work, I was like, yep, you're really tuning into source and God and your higher self, like what your body needs and what your body wants. So another, it's not exactly the same, but people do muscle testing. And you can certainly, instead of using a pendulum, all these charts that I have, if people are really adept at muscle testing, can use their fingers or use the body to ask a question and have the body say yes or no, or yes, this needs to be cleared. So there's more than one way this work. We were just taught with a pendulum because it's fast. It's super fast, other than kind of work, people do show me a yes, show me a no, and they get information like that. I just find the pendulum works much, much faster. Um, just dropped mine. So, before SuperConnection, so I learned this in 2017. So prior to that, I was studying aromatherapy with a wonderful teacher, Linda Patterson, who's also one of my herbal teachers. And in our second level of aromatherapy training, she taught, so, level one, we're learning all about the oils, the benefits, how to blend in a really, really therapeutic way. Level two was about, intake, like talking to people, getting an intake, saying, what's going on? How can I help you? What oils are going to work for you? And we were working with a pendulum. And so I honestly, to be honest, that was about, I think, 2 years before my super connection training. So I'm going to say either around 2015, 16, something like that. And I was like, oh no. I mean, I was dreading it because I thought, yeah, I've been using one and I'm not getting good responses. Sometimes I'll ask a question, I'll get a yes, then I ask it again, I get a no. Again, am I going to get this job? Something like that. Getting a yes, getting a no, and I wasn't trusting myself. And that's why I was getting a yes and a no and a yes and a no and not like a definitive. And like I said, those aren't always the best questions to ask because they're about the future. So in Super Connect, we're talking about clearing things that you're holding in your energy field. Um, so back to the aromatherapy. Linda's such a great teacher. She brought pendulums. I didn't even have to bring mine. And she basically, the way that she taught us and had us work is we would sit with a person and we actually didn't do an intake. This was so fascinating to me. We had learned to do intakes like, you know, are you looking for an oil for a physical pain or are you looking for an oil to lift your emotions? Are you feeling a little down? Yeah, so in this next level, guess what? We didn't do an intake. We just partnered up. It was like, yep, I'm going to make an oil for you. I'll make one for you. And we pulled out our pendulum. And what we did is we held the pendulum over the oils. We went through all the oils. And she asked us not to use our mind. She said, step out of your mind. You may know that, lavender is calming and relaxing. Okay, and this person, well, we didn't do an intake, to be honest. So I don't know if this person needed lavender or what they needed. So, we learned to trust. And within like the second weekend of working, well, the first weekend, I made my blend, gave it to the person, and then we shared with them what was in it. And then we looked at properties. And everyone, I can tell you hands down, everyone in that class was blown away. This is exactly what I needed. And again, remember, I don't know if that person has a sore back or if that person needs a little upliftment or if one of their chakras. We didn't get that information. So we're just dowsing, we're blending, we're giving them a bottle, we're saying, here it is. And everyone's jaw kind of dropped. They're like, what? Hey, Donnie, how are you? Donnie's another herbalist and aromatherapist and a pharmacist, and I don't even know what else you do. I'm sure you do gobs of other things. Hey, Vicky's on. I'm sure you can see that. Having a little reunion here on Facebook. So you can see that you guys are all making me really happy. So thanks for joining. So yeah, so basically we'd give the person their oil blend and they were like, yeah, I can't believe it. So it wasn't so much about kudos like I made the best blend for them. My my confidence in using a pendulum was growing and increasing. And I was thrilled to have put aside all those years of actually not having trained with somebody, right? Like I was just sort of, I had watched people use it, but I'd never taken a class. So here I was learning aromatherapy and the added bonus of using a pendulum. So, so thankful to you, Linda. Um, and then I'm gonna cry again. And then fast forward like a year or two later, I am in England learning this dowsing modality, and we're using the charts. And I did feel confident having had that aromatherapy background, and I was familiar with asking questions and getting information from some other one-on-one work that I had done with other practitioners. So I had a sense of, okay, we're looking for information, we're looking for blocks, we're looking to release the blocks. I didn't know how extensive SuperConnection really is, even though when you go on the website, it says, over 60 charts. And yeah, there are over 60 charts, and it's not overwhelming. But anyway, so going back to the SuperConnection, one of the, I mean, you know, for people, and people are coming to this work that have no background in energy work, energy clearing, none of that. So some people have never used a pendulum. So we did learn how to use that. And again, my confidence was building, and I'm so grateful for that. Um, I just want to scroll down here. Thanks, sweetie. Okay. Hi, Olivia. Oh my goodness. All my sweet friends from the past. Hi, Amy. Hi, you guys. All right, I just had to move the cursor down to see who else was on here. Um, so after Linda teaches us how to use the pendulum, and there's another great teacher in China, Alice. I have not met her, but I know she's a love too. Um, See, I just say somebody's name and I'm connected to them. So one of the first things we learned in the level I did, and I think in all the levels, we get a master chart. The master chart basically is a condensed version of all the charts that we can work with people. So we're taught to go to the master chart to see where to start. What's the first issue? And then we dowse. I take my pendulum, I hold it over the chart. I'm going around going, asking. I basically, the way that I work is I grab my pendulum. I'm not moving it. I know it may look like I'm kind of shaking my hand a little bit, but I am not moving this. Let's see. And my turtle's moving. So I ask, I say, show me a yes. And then I do show me a no. And then when I start working with the charts, I say, I want to start with a no. I want to start with a no. And if there's a yes, I want it to be yes. Right? So no to me is almost like neutral. Like I'll start going around the circles, and like I said, there are 60 charts. So I'll say, show me a no until it's a yes. When it's a yes, then it will swing up and down. And that's really pretty much how I start and how we were guided to start. Now, if your intuition is telling you, go to such and such a chart, absolutely. We've got to trust our gut. But the way that I work that I found is really effective is going to the master chart and then going from there. And it could be anything. I'm going to try to keep this live a little short, so I'll come back at some other time and talk about some other charts, but I'm basically getting information. So just going to throw it out there. Say we are clearing, there's all sorts of things. There's ancestral clearing. There's charts that are clearing self-esteem. So if we're working on the self-esteem chart, let's say, if that's where I'm guided to go, then there are questions. What is blocking this? Or what can be helped? What can people work on with this? And then I work around the chart to get the information. And then I'm going to a chart where I am releasing with fear-based words and replacing with love-based words. And I know that that doesn't really mean anything to anyone that hasn't received a session. So to back up a little bit, what does that mean? I'm almost like a detective. Okay, so somebody comes to me and I don't ask them what they want to work on or what topic. Like, I don't ask, are you having money concerns? Are you having relationship concerns? Is there pain in your body? I don't ask any of that. I've said this before when I've done these. It's not that I don't care. I really want the information to come through spirit and the pendulum, and I don't want to be influenced by the person. And I wouldn't be anyway, but I just feel like for peace of mind, don't tell me what's going on, tell me after. I do check in with people throughout and say, what does this resonate? Does this make sense for you and what's going on in your life? But I don't want everyone to spill their guts and then I start working, and that's not how super connection, I think, works. Or, somebody that's doing clearing work for you isn't gonna get your whole history. It's not necessary. They can. I'm not saying people are doing it wrong. It's just not necessary. So I'm going in asking a question. Is there something that needs to be cleared in the meridians? Yes or no? Great. Which meridian? Then we go, okay, this meridian. Then I'm getting information on what kind of energy is stuck in that particular meridian. Is it sadness? Is it disappointment? Is it a longingness? Is it maybe somebody's not feeling heard? So again, I'm being a detective. I've got my questions. I'm getting information about where it's stuck. There are some great charts on birth trauma. So people that have had trauma, either a mother giving birth, or really more often than not, it's the person that was birthed. So if you're having a session with me, there might have been trauma during birth. That, guess what? Maybe your mom doesn't remember, right? Because she was sedated. Um, Maybe she wasn't sedated, but the pain was so intense that she doesn't remember certain things. And some of the work that some other work I've done, it's really interesting. Other body work, people have said to me, the trauma that you're holding in your body, and this is not super connection, but it will tie in. The trauma that you're holding in your body looks like when you were being birthed, you were having trouble coming out and they had to use forceps to pull you out. So that is a trauma both for the baby and for the mom. And it's interesting, I asked my mom about that and she doesn't remember. So it's not that she doesn't want to tell me, she just doesn't remember, right? It was a long time ago. But I remember asking her about 10, 15 years ago, and she said, yeah, I don't remember that. So the chart will say, forcep birth, or, the dad wasn't around. The mom was there, but the dad wasn't around. Or they were both there, but the mom wasn't feeling supported. And that's all held in the energy field. And so super connection works. That can be one of the things that it works to clear. And then just for those of you that haven't worked with me, once I get all the information, once I do sort of the detective work, which is fun, I think it's super fun, um, I then go to two charts. One is releasing the negative words and emotions that are held around that topic. And again, I'm dowsing, I'm getting the words. The person sitting across from me, guess what, you guys? You're just sitting there. You're not doing anything. You are just sitting there receiving, listening, and allowing shifts to happen in your body, outside of your body, in your thought field. And once I get those words to clear, I just say them pretty much, and I ask for them to be released. I'm asking for those to be released from your energetic field, from your vibrational field, from your DNA as well. And then I'm going to replace with love-based words. And again, I'm dowsing. I'm asking the pendulum to give me the words. I just show this for people jumping on that don't know what a pendulum is. So then I will dowse for the love-based words that need to be replaced. So why do we do that? We are doing that. Hi, Marianne. Oh my goodness. Hi, Wendy. Hi, you guys. These are, I gotta say, most of the people on here are friends from the past. It's so nice to see you guys. Sorry I didn't scroll down before. So this stuff is either stuck in our body, in our energy field, and I'm helping to release that. And that's why you'll hear people, close friends might share, that they've been carrying stuff around with them for a long time. And guess what? They don't know why, right? Like they haven't had a sports injury, and yet their body hurts. they haven't had a massive, massive, massive loss, um, but they're carrying some emotional pain. So what the heck is going on, right? Another thing I love working with is patterns. People have repeating patterns and they're just stuck, and it's just like so, I mean, for lack of a better word, it's just freaking irritating, right? One of my is at various jobs I've had, and I won't go into specifics, is I keep attracting the same kind of people and personalities. So it's like, all right, what are my lessons here? What do I need to learn? And not only what do I need to learn and how do I need to grow, but what do I need to release, right? Like, super connection does touch on past lives. So some of this stuff coming through is like you are repeating a pattern with someone or groups of people or person after person after person. And those of you with relationship stuff, right? And who hasn't had those, whether it's been bad breakups, bad relationships, bad divorces, and you're like, oh my God, why? Same. You're like, okay, third husband, fourth wife, same stuff. Same stuff keeps coming up. Chances are you've done this before in this life, in another. If you guys don't believe in past lives, that's totally fine. All I'm saying is it's stuck in your energetic field. Your soul wants healing and clearing and wants to release these patterns. So you don't have to believe in past lives. I know that's a bit of a stretch for some people, and that's totally fine. You don't have to be scared about working with me that, oh, this is what she's going to bring up, and it's not my belief system. It's okay. It's really okay. There's stuff stuck in the ancestral lines on your mom and dad's side, right? And we work back 9 generations to clear that stuff. So imagining carrying something from 9 generations ago that that generation experienced, right? Like I can't think uh, where we'd be in history, so I'll just throw something out. Say, probably doesn't go as far back as the Middle Ages, but say in your lineage there were people that were tortured, people that lost their house to a fire, lost their whole family. And you know, you might be carrying that. So I do work with that sort of thing. I also work with just sort of normal stuff, like stuff is going on in the body. What's going on? Clearing that stuff in the body, clearing, like I'd mentioned earlier, self-esteem issues. Um, there's a great chart for anyone that's read the book, and I don't know if the title is exactly this, but it's Love Languages. So there's a chart where I've worked with people where they're having trouble with their partner or a loved one. And if you have read the book, then you know what your love language is. If you haven't read the book and my pendulum lands on that chart, guess what? I'm going to share with you what your love language is and how you receive love the best. Is it through gifts? Is it through comforting touch? Is it through you? You feel love the most when somebody says a kind thing about you and compliments you. And then I can douse for what is your partner's love language. And okay, now you know each other's love language. Now, how do you work with that? And I've done this with a couple folks where I've had to go in and, we'll go to the clearing charts where we're releasing any emotional stuff that's been held in the relationship because basically of miscommunication around your love language, right? There are people where what they feel the most loved is when you do acts of service for them, taking out the trash, raking the leaves, folding the laundry. That shows them how much you love them. And if your love language is showering them with hugs and showering them with, I love you, I love you, I love you, and they can hear that, but guess what? It's not registering. Their love language is, if you only took out the trash, then I'd really feel your love. I know it may sound silly, but in a relationship, these things are important. People go to counseling just to discover these nuances about each other, and that's fantastic. I'm just saying there are so many charts in SuperConnection where we can get to where people are feeling blocked or stuck. So I am not seeing any questions here. Hi, Laura, another old friend. Not that you guys are old, friends from the past. Nice. So I'm not seeing questions, but if anyone is watching this after the live, feel free to pop in a question and I'm happy to answer that for you. I'm at about 30 minutes. I don't want to keep these too long, but I did, my intention today was to explain what dowsing is, what a pendulum is, how it works, how I came to work with it, and how it works in my SuperConnection work, which is one of my absolute favorite things to do with people. So I'll just say a little bit about that in case you want more information. I've a lot of information on my website, which is onecosmicheart.net. So onecosmicheart.net. I'll put that in the comments below, and you spell the word one out. So there's information. There's about a 30-minute video where I actually work with somebody. So you're seeing a real. It's not a made-up session. I mean, I had worked with Laura once before, and she was such a doll. She said, "Yeah, I'm happy to do a video with you so people can see what the work is like. So if you want to, it's about 30 minutes if you want to see, and it's real. We didn't come up with the questions before. It's just real live. So there's information in a video form, lots of text. There are testimonials. If you go to there's a button on the website all the way to the right. So under schedule a session, there's a drop down for testimonials for this work and for other work I've done. And what's wonderful about this work is I can do it in person, obviously, but for folks that can't drive to see me, or sometimes you can drive and you don't want to, you want to sit in the comfort of your home. This work can be done remotely. So you can be sitting anywhere that brings you joy. I will be sitting in my home or office doing a session with you. So that can be done over the phone, over Skype. And I really, really want to emphasize that it's it's just as powerful and just as effective done remotely as it is in person. Some people think, oh, she's not going to be able to connect with me. Um, I, I will, believe me, and I'll share a story about that, which is kind of cool. So, I've heard she won't be able to connect with me. It's not true. Um, this work is done constantly remotely. And hey, Sharon. Hi. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, everybody, for coming on. I really appreciate it. I really do. This is, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. This is work I love. I'm committing myself to sharing different aspects of super connection. I'm hoping once a week with people to, it's about educating because I'm the only one in the US, in North America, offering. So there are people in Europe and in China and sprinkled around, but I'm the only one in the US and North America. So happy to work with you. Um, so yes, I offer half-hour sessions. I offer hour sessions. There are people that I've worked with that I do an hour and they're like, I want more. So then we dive in and do another hour or half hour. So that's totally possible. And then if you want multiple sessions, that is absolutely fine. I don't have a requirement. It's like you come to me when you feel ready, when you're feeling blocked, when you're feeling a little heavy or stuck. That's up to you, right? So going back to, is it effective remotely? I mean, this is obvious, right? You want to get a massage in person for obvious reasons. You want to get acupuncture, chiropractic, because there's physical touch involved with that. But with energy work like what I'm doing, you don't have to be sitting across from me. So just to share that with people so they know that, um, oh, dag, she's 2 hours away. I don't feel like driving 2 hours each way. Nope, sit in the comfort of your home. I'm happy to work with you. So maybe I'm hoping this will be the last story. Let's see, last February, I did a talk at a networking group in Westboro. And I'm going to butcher the name. I forget, but it's at Soham and it's like a Metro West networking group. So I spoke on this topic. I gave my history. I didn't go into so much detail about dowsing, but I gave my history, how I came to the work. And then I left sometime at the end. I did two little mini sessions. So I did like 10, 15 minutes. And this was a group of about, I want to say 15, 16 women. These women gather regularly, so a lot of them know each other. Um, and it's interesting when you're in a group, right, and somebody offers a little mini session, there are lots of hands that go up. And I love that. But also, I was kind of curious, like who would put their hand up because anything could be revealed with this work. And when I do it in a group setting, it's always a little session, and I always, if my pendulum is hovering over something really sensitive and personal, for example, like a sexual abuse trauma or something, I don't say it out loud. I think that's very personal, and I would never betray that person's confidence. So I was curious. I'm thinking, who's going to raise their hand? Who am I going to work on? I knew one or two people in the group, but I really didn't know a lot of the ladies. And this woman's hand shot up like so fast. And she had come in just 5 or 10 minutes late. Not really late, but she was, she said, I'm so embarrassed, you guys. Hey, Brian, how you guys? My high school friends are showing up. Nice. High school and college too. So this woman's hand shot up. She's apologized. I'm so sorry, you guys, for being late. I was coming from work. I'm so sorry. But she said, and I think she said, this is my first time here. I heard about this somehow, maybe on Facebook, and I felt really guided to come, really guided. And so I was like, I'm happy to do a session with you. Um, I don't even know that I asked her her name. It's not that important, right? So I just started dowsing. I grabbed my pendulum, grabbed my master charts, uh, found out where we needed to go. At this point, I gotta tell you, when I do sessions, I take notes because I have to refer back to things. But in a mini session like this, I didn't take notes. I couldn't tell you right now what I worked on for her. No clue. All I know is I went to one chart and then I did the clearing and I filled it back up with the love. So we're clearing, getting the yuck out, and then we're filling you guys back up with love and light. So whatever we went through, she was having some physical releases during. Her body was reacting to what I was saying. So there was stuff stuck, trapped in her body, and I think she even might have started crying a little bit, which is kind of a natural thing when you're doing healing work that really touches at your core about something that needs to be released. And I love seeing that, and I love being present for people that are experiencing that, right? Walking around carrying all this stuff, not feeling safe sharing it with people, not even knowing who to share it with, not knowing where to lay it down, right? If you're lucky enough, you have a good counselor. For those of you that seek that type of work out, just a regular counselor. I mean, it takes a while to build that relationship and lay that stuff and lay your shit down. So, anyway, she started tearing up. Today's an emotional day, big time emotion. So she started tearing up, and she reached out to me 2 or 3 days later, and she told me how much had shifted for her. Ooh, I just lost you guys. Hold on. So sorry. So sorry. Hit my clicker. So she told me, she had just explained to me in an email what had shifted for her. And I asked her if she'd be willing to do a testimonial. I said, you don't have to share anything personal. Just share what you're comfortable with. Her testimonial is on my website, again, under the book your session button, is a drop down for testimonials. I don't even know if she gave me her name, and I'm going to just paraphrase her testimonial. Basically, she's a counselor, a family therapist who was taking insurance, and she was in her meditation time being really guided to go out on her own, start working with people privately, leave what I don't even know. I don't know if she was working for the state. I have no idea. Probably a private, it could have been a group. I don't know. I have no idea. But people were paying her through insurance. And she was not completely self-employed, so she had an employer. But her gut and her soul was saying, the work that you're doing is so important, and the skills you're bringing to the table. She was incorporating energy work, and she was, let's say, in this a little more clinical setting where she couldn't maybe bring in um, Reiki or tapping or something else. So she was wanting to venture out on her own. And I think part of that too was maybe leaving, taking insurance, like being more independent, private. So working on a cash or check basis kind of a thing. But when you haven't built up a clientele and you're just like, I want to be a little more free in the way I practice, she was feeling a little limited from what I remember. When you're getting a regular paycheck and you've got bills and who doesn't, it's super scary to just go, I'm going to just go into private practice for myself. I've got nobody scheduled next week, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask people to pay me in cash or check. Okay, right. So what's going on? Holy shit. That's a lot. That's scary. And so she was sitting in meditation and her guidance was saying, this is where you're headed. This is the, the next step for you. But it was scary. So I think she writes in her testimony like her stomach was in knots, her body was all tight because she was grappling with surviving, paying her bills, and doing more of what she loved in the way that she loves it. I think some of you might be able to relate to this. I can certainly relate to that. So, whatever I did, she said that the next day when she sat in meditation, she didn't have any spasms in her stomach, she might have had like spasms in her body because her body was releasing all this old stuff. But she just felt so different in her body. And I remember her saying while I was working on her that she felt different. But again, this work has the ability to work well beyond my time with you, which is awesome. So that's what happened for her, and I had her permission to put her testimonial up. Um, I think I do kind of go a little bit on a tangent, but this was important to share her information or not her information, her story. But basically, going back to the question like 5 or 10 minutes ago, where I said, can I work remotely with people? Is it just as effective? And she said to me, she said, okay, we're sitting in a group. There's about 15, 16 of us. Yes, I put my hand up, but how does your pendulum know that you are clearing and getting information for me? How is your pendulum not picking up other people's info? There's like 15 other people in the room. Absolutely, I could have picked up, right? But this is what I said to her. And what I will say to anyone, which is the truth, is other people have asked me too, like, how does this work? I'm like, when I pick up my pendulum and I open that book, those charts, I've made a contract with Spirit to do this work. And I've made a contract for whoever shows up. A contract. I'm not saying I have anybody sign anything. That's not what I'm saying. I've made a commitment to this work. And when somebody shows up for a session, that soul and that spirit is coming to the table for health and healing. Um, so when they're coming and I pick up that pendulum, my contract or my commitment to you and to source is any information coming through that pendulum when it swings a yes and it swings a no is for you. I am not picking up other people's stuff. If you are at home receiving a session and your kids are in the next room, I am not picking up what their blocks are or what they need to have cleared. I'm picking up stuff for you. So that, to answer her question, hi, Martina, another college friend, and Kathy, a high school friend. Hi, you guys. All beautiful people on here. How awesome. Um, so I am, that commitment is Like she said, how do you know this was for me? Again, how are you not picking up other people's stuff? Because you basically, the short answer is you raised your hand. I'm not even, I'm not even like, I won't even say I take a moment to tune in with you. I pick up that pendulum, and that pendulum has tuned into your higher self and what you're bringing to the table and what you are asking to be released. And you may not even know what needs to be let go. Guys, honestly, you might be like, I'm frustrated with this, or I'm dealing with this. And I might have to do a couple of charts before I get to that topic because there's other stuff that needs to be released um, for your highest good. So I love when people ask me questions like that because it gives me the opportunity to really zero in on super connection and how simple it is. And our teacher kept emphasizing it's simple, it's a simple tool, it's very effective because, again, it zeroes right in on what you need, where you're stuck, where you're blocked. Please don't think like your secrets are being revealed. No, we've all got this stuff. And at some point, I'll go into some of my more, stuff that I've been dealing with that I know lots of people do. And you know what? We're just not talking about it because it's really personal, sometimes painful, but we don't want our stuff to be exposed. And I totally get that. I really get that. What I will say about that, and this is not for everyone, there's some things that I'm quite an open book about. And there are other things that I keep very, very close to the chest and very private about. But when I do share something private, whether I'm teaching, so in a group setting or a one-on-one, it's because I am feeling that that person has been through something like that. And just hearing either my story or for me to acknowledge that I'm here, I'm present for you, because guess what? I've been through that. Been through that crap. It was painful. Before I started doing this work, this stuff would get lodged in my body, right? It would get stuck and I didn't know how to release it. So this is a way to release. Whether you go for Reiki or massage or chiropractic, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the modality is. It's about releasing it and having you guys feel better and having you guys move and walk in the world in a way where you're feeling a sense of ease, more of a sense of connection to yourself, to your inner self, to your true self, to your authentic self, and more of a connection with God. And if you don't like that word, that's okay. God, Spirit, um, the Creator, um, Goddess, doesn't matter. Spirit, there's so many words. Oh my gosh. And maybe I'll just end on this because I have a great teacher, and he's all about the Christ consciousness. He really is talking about God and love and Christ consciousness. And he tells people if you are not a churchy person and you don't like the word God, you substitute that word for love or joy or compassion, whatever feels good to you. So I use the word God because it encompasses all those things. But if that's not a comfortable word for you, what does the creator, hi Audrey, what does the creator represent for you? Love? I mean, that's hopefully, I hope, peace. So that's what I'm hooking into meaning connecting for you. I'm wanting you guys to feel more at ease in your body. And this is just one tool to help you with that. So if anyone is, again, interested in reading or hearing more about the work, the website is onecosmicheart.net. I offer sessions in person and remotely, both for half hour and hour. You can book a session online with me. Feel free, anyone, if you guys have any questions after the fact, if you want to pop a question into the comment box. And I think I'm going to sign off. Today was I went a little longer than I had hoped, but hoping that there's some information out there that spoke to somebody or maybe had you think a little differently. about some things. Okay, so sending you lots of love and much gratitude and thanks for tuning in and watching and being a part of my world. So I hope you guys have a great day. If it's warm where you are like it is here, I hope you get outside and enjoy. And I'm going to go for a walk and then I'm going to go boat. All right. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.